Hi, I'm Emily, and I'm interning at a preschool at Sue Sossman Early Childhood Development Center in Queen Creek, Arizona. When looking through my classroom's library books, there was a plentiful amount, so I chose 50 at random. My mentor teacher had them organized by themes such as underwater animals, farms, colors and shapes, families, and holidays. After looking through all of the 50 randomly selected books, I found this data on this next slide, which was there was an overwhelmingly amount of animal characters in these books, 45 that was represented, and the next leading up was males that was represented at a 32, and then females at 20 for being represented in the genders for the books. And I surprisingly would have thought that males and females actually would have been closer. On this next slide, it can be seen that there's twice the amount of main male characters than main female characters in these randomly selected books. And here we have the females with 12 and the males with 27, heavily outweighing the females for the main genders in the books. For this slide, it can be seen that for race portrayed in the books, there was an astounding amount of 50 people that were white. And the next in lead were the non-humans, such as animals or crayons in books. And that is recorded with about 39 that's represented in these books. And animals, or crayons, for the non-humans, took the lead for the most main characters, with 41 books that it was included in. There was 11 African Americans seen in these books, but only 5 of these books had African American individuals as the main character. As for Latinx, there were 5 books with characters of these race, but only 1 of them were reflected in the books for the Latinx race as the main character. For Asian/Asian American, there were 3 books that depicted the people of this race. However, only 1 of these books had the child of this race as the main character. Then, unfortunately, there were no books of the individuals or Native/Indigenous people which were included in. On this slide, you can observe this pie graph that shows the various settings where most of the books in the classroom took place. It was very fascinating to discover how out of the 50 randomly selected books, there was the same amount of rural as there were suburban setting books. Some of the books selected were focused on farm animals, which is where some of the supporting data for rural areas came from. Urban was seen with less amount of books, here with 8 that took place in this setting, and there were no books that had any person or animal taking place in the desert. Then on this slide, you can see that sadly, no books containing people or animals with disabilities is accounted for. On this next slide, a very intriguing data collection is portrayed with the amount of 5 books that included a variety of family structures. Even in this one book displayed on the slide, so many different examples are included, such as children having 2 moms, being adopted, having stepbrothers and sisters, or having just their dad. Big families as well as small families are seen and talked about in these books that are found in my classroom library. Another highlight in my classroom library were that a couple of these religions were recorded. There were a total of 4 books that included the practice of religion or religious celebrations. These 2 books are some of the examples that were found in my classroom library, The Night Before Hanukkah, as well as K is for Kwanzaa. Another highlight in my classroom's library is that for the languages, English was the only language represented from the 50 books that I looked through. And these are just some of the examples of the potential of books that could have been represented. In my class, the students were mostly males in both morning and afternoon class. This number combined then came to 18 males in my class. Then as for girls, there were a number of 8 total. Of these young individuals, 20 of them were of the white ethnicity and 6 of the children were of another race. The books I recommended were La Princesa and the Pea, which was a refreshing new twist on the classic of The Princess and the Pea, with both languages, English and Spanish, presented in here. This would be a great addition to the library in that it would enhance the amount of other languages represented. The next book I'd recommend is Dan and Diesel. This book is about a young boy who has a disability of being blind. This book explores his perspectives through his mind as his trusty companion Diesel aids him along his journey. This book would be a great start to a collection of books including people with disabilities. The last book, The Day You Begin, is about being aware of your differences as well as others and having the courage to make those connections with others who are different from you. This book would be a great representation of not only the girls in the class, but also children with different races and backgrounds. My classroom library did alright for mirror books. There were some books that showed characters of other races, such as African American, Asian, and Latinx, but there could have been more books with these characters of other races as the main characters rather than just the side characters. Most of the students in the class were of white ethnicity, so in this sense, for these students, these books here were good mirrors in the classroom library. However, for the 5 students that were Latinx or one child who was Middle Eastern, it wasn't a sufficient amount of mirror books for children of these races to be represented. In addition to that, the majority were actually animal books with the animals as the main characters, and children cannot simply personally identify with this, which overall makes my evaluation of the mirror books that it was somewhat lacking. As for window books in the classroom library, this had a lower percentage in certain areas than others. Parts of these lacking areas would consist of the location of the same American-style settings in rural and suburban, as well as other areas of disability that was severely lacking. However, in terms of religion and family structures, the classroom library provided a great variety of window books into the different families of being adopted, children with one parent, children with 2 moms or dads, etc. Then, for religious celebrations, the windows into Christmas, Kwanzaa, and Hanukkah are available. Most of the children in the class do celebrate Christmas. So these other books allowed a great opportunity for children to see the other worlds of celebrations that they don't have the typical experience and knowledge of. All in all, it is important for children to have books in their school library that provide these opportunities for mirror and window books to be read, for it reflects the importance and significance of the child's presence in the world, as well as open their eyes to new people, culture, traditions, environments, and the world they live in around them. And since they don't actually get to sometimes have the opportunity to engage with the certain other ways of living and doing things, this is their way of getting that chance.